Welcome into Taco Bowler Gaming. My name is Taco Bowler, and today we are beginning a new campaign playing as the United States. We will be heading down the focus tree to go communist in this run, showing the communist civil war and hopefully winning it. And showing that tree. I haven't seen that very often in on YouTube, so that is something that we can that hopefully I can do and have on YouTube so that some more people can see that. Hopefully it will be beneficial. So if you were hoping to see the Czechoslovakia into Austria-Hungary run, it did not wind up looking very good. The United States wound up joining the Allies, which meant I couldn't envision a way that I was going to get naval superiority in that war. So decided that I would go ahead and start the next campaign. This was one that I promised would be coming, and then did a poll, so didn't wind up doing that. Otherwise, we would be doing this last game. So one of the things about America is that when they have their civil wars, the civil wars play differently. So the fascist civil war, which is seen much more often on YouTube, I think, has the Northeast up here, New England, and not the East Coast, but like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. They will leave, and then oftentimes the West Coast will leave, and oftentimes this area here. And what will stay is this right here in the middle, roughly here in the Midwest, and the Southwest, the East Coast, the old Confederacy. When you're doing the communist run, the opposite can happen. Now, the first time I did this for the achievement on my own time, it was just the former Confederacy that left. I recently played this again in the communist direction and actually lost the Midwest as well, and that threw my strategy off. So hopefully that won't happen this time. I do think that may have been due to what focuses I chose, hopefully. But yeah, so the South will leave this time, and your job would be to rein it in. In the fascist civil war, that is a war where the army is split in two, and you have to go down going for certain things. Over here, you can get some help, right? Work with the Bund, recruit the Free Corps. You can get some help to get some troops on your side of the Civil War, but the army kind of, changes. Not the case with the Communist side Civil War. The Communist side Civil War, the entire army stays in your hands. The Navy splits in two. I don't know about the Air Force, but the entire army stays in your hands. So that is, a really, really big part. In fact, I'm just going to delete the Air Force. I moved them. I don't know if they split, so I would rather just delete them. I know they'll move into storage, but yeah, no, we're just going to delete the Air Force. So yeah, the army will stay in its control. So instead of like deleting the army in anticipation of the Civil War or making sure you don't recruit anything, perfectly fine to recruit to the army and to get it in units. As far as I know, all the generals stay with you. So I have put the army. I have the National Guard divisions, all 19 of them, with Omar Bradley. And I'm going to give him Fortress Buster eventually. I don't have any command power. Duh, I just started. And then I put everything else with Mark Clark. I've begun to recruit because I had about 800 guns I was shy. Began to recruit a couple of infantry divisions, just regular infantry divisions, and they'll go with Clark here. And then I put them all under Field Marshal Dwight Eisenhower and created a massive fallback line just outside of the former Confederacy, which is Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri usually leaves with them, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, which includes West Virginia, and Kentucky. Kentucky and Tennessee, they should all be the ones that are leaving, that you're going to have to rein back in. So that is the general concept. Then, as always with the Americans, I just moved the Navy all together and reorganize it. And I've moved them into New York because my normal place of Richmond will leave. Not Richmond, Virginia, because Richmond's over here. Norfolk. They will leave in the Confederacy, so you'll lose that place. Your Navy will be displaced. So put them in New York, make their Navy, the Confederate Navy, be displaced. Other than that, standard research, I have gone for the plane. I'm going to try and make carrier fighters be up to date. Unlike with the Fascist Civil War, you do not have to wait. The communist side is on this side with FDR, which honestly probably isn't that off historically, but you're gonna stick with FDR over here. You can actually go with the Republicans. That may have actually been what lost the Midwest too. You can go with the Republicans. They'll give you more political power if you do. But I'm just going to try and work with the focuses, and it'll be okay. But yeah, you do not need to wait to reestablish the gold standard. You can go immediately for continue the New Deal and get moving on this a little bit quicker than the fascist side. That's one benefit. So we're going to continue the New Deal. The policies of the New Deal have proven to work. We must not lose our way now. That'll give me 150 political power. We go with that. Go ahead and trade your stuff. The other aspect of this is the United States, of course, has these horrific national focuses, particularly the Great Depression. You can see consumer goods factories plus 30%, and I think there's a modifier. It's not up here, but there's a modifier with the United States that if you build civilian factories, military factories, naval dockyards, if you're building that kind of thing, that takes way longer for the United States. So instead, what you're going to want to do to begin is you're going to want to build infrastructure. And you're going to build infrastructure in mostly these states, states where there are resources. So you can see California here, 288 oil, right? That's really, really good. You can see Nevada has steel and some aluminum and some tungsten. So you can see this stuff. That's where I'm building my infrastructure up. And then as we get rid of the Great Depression, then we can begin to start building civilian factories, although you don't really need to build that many. With the United States, you have 125 to begin with. Start building some civilian factories and really start cranking out the military factories at that point. So we're going to go ahead and go to speed 5. All the preliminary done. Let us go. And everything will go into place with so little oil. Oh, I have unfulfilled import requests. Looks pretty fulfilled to me. I think we're good. And when you get up here, you are going to want to start to drill your submarines once everyone is in place. And you can actually, you can drill more if you want. You can drill destroyers and light cruisers too. So if you really want, you can do that. Oh, we have, we're going to put them in a new group. And then we have, these two guys are still coming. Just because Hawaii is a long ways away, you guys take forever. Alright, we're going to combine all of those groups, and again, get rid of the submarines, get rid of the destroyers, get rid of light cruisers. You're going to come down here, and now we're going to bring all of these and combine them together, and we should have enough oil. You can see we're still making oil, even with 196 ships doing their thing out here and giving us a lot of Navy experience. That should be the other thing actually I want to talk about. Oh, good. Is that I kept the heavies, you know, the main things, including the 2 new carriers, kept them building, but otherwise I deleted all of the early destroyer hulls. So as soon as we can get some Navy experience, we're going to come in here and fix the 1936 destroyer hull into whatever kind of destroyer you would like. And start putting the destroyer along with the submarines, getting a few light cruisers, getting a few destroyers, getting a few subs. That's the goal, production-wise, in the Navy. So I hope you are enjoying the Hearts of Iron content, and I hope you will enjoy this series. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like this series to continue on after the Civil War, assuming I win it, and do whatever I can do with that. Joining the Comintern, fighting the Axis or whatever, or if you would like to continue on to whatever is coming next, either a retry a communist Mexico or a try that with China that may actually be able to get on screen, something like that. Let me know if you would like to see this get into the World War, or just, hey, can you get me through the Civil War? All right, so with the United States also, you're going to need lobbying efforts. So as soon as you have more political power than 10, which I thought I had. There we go. Well, now I definitely have it. You just start doing some small lobbying efforts. You just want to do that a bunch. Trying to decide if I want to spend that political power or not. You can't get out of undisturbed isolation. You can't get out of disarmed nation. Not yet. So no, do not spend the power. I remember now. Do not spend the power at all. So we're going to go directly over to suspend the persecution. That lets you get a political advisor, Earl Browder, which grants communism support. That is what we want. So we're going to do that next. The persecution of American citizens for their political views, no matter how abhorrent they may seem, is fundamentally at odds with the values of this country. It must cease immediately. So we will suspend the persecution, and we will keep all of our political power except to do the small lobbying effort. And the reason for that, of course, is that when you get over here, it requires the support of 58 senators and 261 representatives, and we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to get that and make that happen. You're going to just continue to do the research the way you normally do. Ethiopia has capitulated. Now you will be losing political power as you do this, so you want to keep it above 150 so that at the end of the period here, you can hire that guy or get as close as you can for it. So, as this ends, you might, I think I'm going to do it again, but probably won't do it again after that. Just so I don't lose too much more political power, because you don't gain it that fast. That's also why we're not doing medium lobbying efforts. I'm going to get rid of this so I don't spend that power. I'm liable to spend it. Basic machine tools is done. So I usually go dispersed. It doesn't really matter. Suddenly, the second London Naval Treaty has been signed. All right, 6 days left. We should still be over 150. No problem. And if not, it'll be very close. Up to 5 senators will support the government. That is good. And 25 representatives. You can see here how much you have. We have plenty of Senate support. We don't have a ton of House support. But it is what it is. So we can't quite get this just because we don't have the representatives. So instead we're going to go over to the WPA. This requires more communist support. Or Harry Truman being the leader. But we're going to go here to the WPA, and that will give us 150 political power and open up the research slot right here. So that is the goal. Millions of people are still suffering the unemployment resulting from the Great Depression. An agency to put these people to work on public projects may not fully solve the problem, but the Work Progress Administration is a step in the right direction. And we're going to come over here and get our communist revolutionary. And then we're at 3, so we're going to let that tick back up until we can do another small lobbying effort. The United States is it's a power late game, but in that beginning game, you really have to manage yourself really, really well in that early game. Our infantry equipment, we are down 18,000 units. That was not anywhere close to 18,000.
Ready, sir.
And I'm not really sure what's changed. Really not sure. So we're going to go the carrier fighter, and then yeah, radio or resource. Probably do resource gain. Probably do resource gain. Oh, we have some free dockyards. We probably can now modify the destroyers. I'm just going to create some screens, which means that I put them pretty heavy. Don't really need sonar. Would like fire control systems. Torpedo launcher. Yeah, sure. 1936 destroyer. We're going to say it's a destroyer screen. That's fine there. And we're going to save that design, and we'll put some factories or dockyards on that. We still have like 46 naval experience, so nothing too bad there. Nothing too bad there. This will go up whether I win the Civil War or not, just simply because of time frame, number one, but also the idea is just to show how you get to that Civil War. I've won it both times, but I really needed help the second time. But maybe I could have figured it out. But you have a couple of ways, I think, to win the Civil War. Come on, let's get that above 10. Thank you. You have a couple of ways, I think, to win the Civil War. The first would be to do as I'm doing, train a bunch of troops. Admittedly, you know, we don't have a ton there. And just set them correctly, and hopefully you can rein in the northern states, and it's just a matter of getting it right. Ooh, I am playing non-historical, and Germany is going crazy over there. That's interesting. The other way would be to run down here and to try and get the Unholy Alliance, which would let you join the Comintern, and then you can call the Soviets in on your side and just overwhelm them. Which is what I wound up having to do. It was actually a multiplayer game in the last one, so take your pick. All right, now we cannot get this still. We don't have enough representatives. I would love that. If you can get that, if you happen to have enough representatives, fantastic. Otherwise, you're going to come over here, you're going to get that research slot right here. With war looming on the horizon, we must focus our scientific efforts to ensure that we are not outmatched by any potential adversary. I would agree. And now you have 158, and I think that we're probably just fine. I would kind of, at this point, get to either doing a military high command with particularly with infantry divisions. So here you look at Clark here for infantry division attack and infantry division defense, or maybe an army offensive with all divisions attack at Dwight D. Eisenhower. But you are primarily infantry. In fact, I think you're all infantry here. So I'm just going to go with Mark W. Clark to spend that power. Alternatively, you could go for special measures or something like that, but I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. Now, just to point out, each one of these takes 70 days, obviously. There's actually two ways that you can get, I have enough now, there's two ways that you can get the Great Depression gone. You can go down here, get agricultural adjustment, fair labor standards, and Federal Housing Act, and that will be gone at that point. You can get all 3 of those. You have to wait 230 days in between them. In order to reach out to the WHERE group, you do have to have Agricultural Adjustment Act. Note that. But you can also go down over here. You can get the Accumulated Wealth Tax Act, which will move from Great Depression to slow recovery. And then this one here also does that, the War Management Act. And then this one will do that as well, the Communal Property Act down here. Those 3 knocks that all out. And you have to get down here for reintegration to begin slowly to readmit states that secede back to the Union. So, yeah, like, you're going to have to go down this line anyway. So getting Fair Labor Standards and Federal Housing Act, probably not necessary, but I would do this as soon as you can. That will move you closer to the Civil War. That will begin the Civil War process. Alternatively, you could put off the Civil War for longer, and that would, that would be its own decision. Let's go ahead and get radio. Who would let you gain more divisions? I don't know if it lets the Confederates gain more divisions. But you can go into the other way there. So 264. Do I still have enough? I think that's like 1. Yeah, okay. I have 2 senators and 3 representatives on the enough side. So we got to avoid bad events for 32 days. Because I don't think it cancels. Will continue even when the requirements are no longer met. So yeah, just got to get that going at the start. I love the United States' sheer number of research options. It's amazing. How long do I have? 11 days? Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and get that synthetic oil experiments. You can also look around over here if you really want. You can get some heavy planes, but it would be good at some point to get the weapons equipment. That would be very good at some point. Now, I am not, you'll notice, starting another lobbying effort because this will assure that a majority will be restored in future elections. Let's just pause so I don't get any weird events. We're going to go for the Union Representation Act. Work is a core part of human life, and organizing into a union is a fundamental part of organizing a democratic society. It is only proper that we should recognize this and ensure that unions have mandatory representation in Congress. The Silver Legion will protest. So we have our 5th thing. You can look down here for any of these options. Down there you can get some more of these. Always love my companies there. You could look to get some tanks. If you want to do tanks, this is where you go. The United States certainly has the industry to do tanks. You do artillery. You could switch out doctrines, or you could keep going. If you're going to do tanks, I would switch over to mobile warfare. If you're not going to do tanks, I would stay at superior firepower and just go down that line. Honestly, if you do plan to do tanks, that's not a terrible idea. You just go over your support. You could also begin researching some stuff with boats. You're going to be a heavy Navy power. But that 5th thing, kind of whatever you want it to be at this point. I'm not going to create many heavy ships for a while, so I do think that I think I'm going to get the tanks at least up to 1936. Yeah, I want to keep this through the Civil War and then switch over when I have more tanks. So that'll be the game plan. There's still 13,000 down. Alright, I want to get through the election. and see if there's anything in the tooltips there. Because there's nothing in the tooltips to say, you know, this will keep the Midwest in line, or anything like that. Alright, pause again. Let's get the light cruisers figured out. So for me, my light cruisers typically are mostly these catapult aircraft facilities, and then the rest only if it's like required will I put anything on it. And you notice it's just that one. Now I will put sonar. Okay, so yeah, we'll put sonar on it. We will have massive engines and some basic armor, I guess. And these are patrol ships. They're gonna scout, and I usually give them the airplane. So let's start building some of those. That will be just fine. We're still going to try and get through the end of November on this. Alright, and so now you have a couple of options. You can create some destroyers to protect your convoys, or you can just create a few more ships here. I'm just going to throw some into submarines. I tend to lose those a lot. So we'll do that there. And then let's go ahead and get that interwar artillery. Through the election. When is the election? Like the 7th or 8th? The 8th. So we have the election here. We can get the Democrats. That's going to give you stability and infrastructure construction. In the congressional elections, the faction supporting the government will face stronger opposition. Or we go to Republicans. That'll give you political power. And Alf Landon becomes the leader of the Democratic Party. Does make ideology drift defense better. So you're going to struggle more to turn communist. Up to you. Last time I went for the Republicans to get that political power. I think this time I might well go for the Democrats. The people have spoken. And you know, we have a little bit worse off here, but this is supposed to give me a Congress that is favorable. So I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, please do like, please do comment, please do subscribe down below. Again, let me know how far you'd like this series to go, just through the Civil War, or go ahead and go through World War I, probably attacking the Allies. Or just trying to take over this. You're trying to take over the New World. Take over the Comintern, you know, whatever we might do. Let me know if that sounds interesting to you. Otherwise, I will see you next time.